FA presents The Inner Circle.
And away we go!
Starring Coach Ant and Coach Rel.
What's going on, y'all? Another episode of Our Friendly Advice. This right here is a special episode. We actually have the teacher edition, right? So I'll let them introduce themselves in a second. But for right now, y'all know what we do here. We talk about mental health, emotional intelligence. Coach Rel, explain what the hot seat is.
Hot seat is we're gonna ask y'all questions. Y'all can duck out of them questions if you want to, but we will find another way to get that question answered. So there's really no escaping the question. So just feel free to be your honest self, and yeah, just have fun.
All right, so let's get started with a little icebreaker question. This is something I'm just interested in. See where y'all mental at. Can y'all name y'all teachers from kindergarten to 12th grade?
No, I can name like my second grade teacher, Miss Freeman. Miss Freeman was
Okay.
one of my favorite teachers. My fifth grade teacher was Mr. Farrell. And yeah.
They get blurred from there?
Ooh, yes.
Okay.
Wait, one more. Mr. Adu in high school. He was a dean. He was a very good administrator.
Okay.
So
Before we move on to the next person, say your name, where you from, what you do.
hi, my name is Jakara. Everyone calls me Jiggy. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm an educator and I'm in admin.
Okay.
All right. My name is Harvey. I teach a class called JAG. It stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. So job skills, bunch of stuff like that. I taught history for 6 years in Camden. Kindergarten, we had Miss Wen. First grade, we had Miss Paul. Second grade, we had Miss DiStefano. Third grade, Miss Taylor. Fourth grade, Miss Kerlick, Miss Coleman. Fifth grade, Miss White, one of the best teachers I ever had. Sixth grade, Mr. Wilson. Seventh grade, Miss, this was at Vets, Miss Petikoff. Eighth grade, we had Mr. Kelly. Ninth grade, my home teacher, Miss Anyawu. 10th grade, sophomore year at Wilson. Who's my 10th grade teacher? 10th grade, short poppy dude, I forgot his name. 11th grade, Mr. Turcott. 12th grade, Miss Martinez.
That's amazing.
That's an amazing memory right there.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because you asked me, it's blurry.
What about you?
I got when I came here. I don't remember who my teacher was when I came here. I know I got so in England we start school a year earlier. So for school's sake they put me back in second grade because I didn't know American currency and the metric system. So I had to learn that. I forgot her name, but then my third grade teacher was Miss Richling. Outside of that, I got one teacher. I got Mr. Falardo was like my 8th grade history teacher or 7th grade. And then he was my high school. He got a promotion to the high school. So he was one of the years in my high school. He got there for the history. But other than that, I don't remember none of them.
Yeah, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. Let me see.
I mean, a few of them gonna cross my mind eventually, but I can't definitely recall.
That
what
was
he did.
impressive.
What he just
might
did,
I
I
say.
definitely couldn't do it.
If I sat here long enough, I think I could do it. But we'll come back to me. I don't have it. All right, so let's start off. One, what made y'all want to be a teacher?
You want to go first?
I'll go first. I knew that I wanted to serve people. Like my purpose was to come here and help change lives. So I said, nursing or education? Nursing or education? So I was already in school for nursing, right? I got down on my knees. I said, God, where would you want me to make the biggest impact? I filled out 6 applications. 3 were for a hospital. 3 were for schools. The next day, guess who called me back?
School.
Every school. Every application I did after that, it was for schools. I said, God, I hear you. Let me try one more time. I did another 2 more because I'm like, you already answered me and I hear you. But just to be sure, I did 2 more after that. And he was like, you belong in education.
Mm.
And I am so grateful. I've been so fruitful being an educator. Like, I know is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am so grateful that I'm on this path and this journey. So that's how I got into education. I just knew. My grandmother was a kindergarten teacher. And my sister, she's an educator too in Brooklyn, New York. She works for Canarsie High School. So she's in special education. So I guess like it runs in the family, I guess. Education.
Okay.
So yeah, I knew this is like I'm in my purpose. I just know. So yes.
That's crazy because I ain't know.
You didn't know?
So my first job, so me and Marcellus in the Rutgers Future Scholars Program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a college access program in Camden, Newark, and New Brunswick.
Okay.
And you get enrolled in the program in the 8th grade, and every year you go through a different series of academic enrichment. So a new class comes in every year. My junior year in high school, 2012, my first job was with the program, tutoring the 8th grade students.
Mm.
And at the time, I felt a real deep sense of, fulfillment doing it. But the money for teachers wasn't really
Hitting.
Yeah. So I in my mind I said, all right, I'm gonna be a nurse, similar to you. So I'm at Rutgers, New Brunswick, taking like nursing classes and stuff. I'm like, nah, this ain't it. So I go home the summer of 2014 after my freshman year. I had a convo with one of my mentors. So it was like, yo, why do you want to be a nurse? Black male nurse, money is good, travel, advancement, all that good stuff. He was like, your why not strong enough? I'm like, bro, how you gonna tell me my why ain't strong enough? Shout out to Jardine too. And so
I know Jardine.
yeah.
Okay.
So over that summer, I was really reflecting. What the hell is talking about? Yo, why ain't strong enough? Then it kind of started to make sense. I'm the youngest of 5 kids. I always like thrived in school. 8th grade, I graduated first in my class. High school, I graduated first in my class. I love interacting with teachers and stuff like that. And so over that summer, I'm like, yo, I think teacher stuff is it. So I switched my major from nursing to history. Made Dean's List that first semester, 3.5. I'm like, all right, yeah, this is definitely it. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it? What's the definition of a good teacher?
Me personally, if any educator is watching this right now, I'm giving you your flowers because you all show up every day. I appreciate you because this is not an easy job. But when you come into the school building, it's no longer about you. It's about those kids. So thank you for all that you do. What is a good teacher? A good teacher to me is a person who is showing up, listening, patient, and actually teaching. Like, the kids come to school to actually learn. So to walk in a classroom and to see kids learning and understanding what they're learning is important to me.
Is there a follow-up question?
I got a follow-up question
All right.
after it. Yeah.
Is it what makes a great teacher?
Mm-mm.
All right. I think a good teacher going to teach you content.
Yep.
A good teacher going to teach you math, English, reading, writing, all that kind of good stuff. But a great teacher going to teach you about life. So, like, I pride myself on being a great teacher, not a good teacher. It's easy to teach social studies, but can I teach you how to be a better human being? Can I teach you to be more kind, more patient, more confident? So, good teacher going to teach you the X and O's. The great teacher going to teach you about the X and O's plus life.
Now, a hot seat question. How many
shit.
good or great teachers come through those hallways?
For me or for her?
Both. There's both of them.
I think there are a lot of great teachers because me personally, from my perspective, you have to want to be a teacher. There's not something you just sign up for and clock in and clock out. Like,
Yeah.
if you do not want to be a teacher, it's going to show. It's going to show. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
Yes. And you're going to dread it. And it's going to show in the content you're teaching. If the kids are actually learning, it's going to show. So I feel like in order to be a great teacher, you have to actually want to teach.
Give your perspective.
Yeah, your question was how many good versus great walk through those
Well, I'm
hallways?
saying overall, how many good teachers do you think, or great teachers, in your definition
Like
of
your
great teachers?
peers. I mean,
Well,
your
How many of
peers.
you think in school districts across the
Oh,
country
across the country.
are sitting in those classrooms that are great teachers that kids can walk into and say, "I'm going to get a great experience"?
I would argue that they're 100%, right? I think about 5 to 10% of teachers are great teachers. About 25% are probably good teachers. The rest are probably bad teachers, if I'm being honest. Again, going by my definition, a good teacher is going to teach you the content. A lot of teachers don't even do that. My uncle used to tell me, nobody tell the truth like drunks, angry folks, and kids.
Mhm.
Kids going to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
I've had kids tell me, yo, I don't even learn in that class. So going by their, experiences and by this definition, I would say the overwhelming majority, about 70% of teachers probably aren't good teachers. 20-ish are probably good, and maybe 5 to 10 are probably great teachers.
What do you feel about, because I've been in a space, so how do you like the American system to become a teacher? Do you think it's rigorous enough?
I think no.
I was gonna say because
Anybody,
No.
I feel
I was
like
gonna say anybody could be
anybody become a teacher.
when you
There's
coming
so many
out of
pathways
college.
to it.
No.
Yes, when you coming out of college, you know how many conversations I heard where somebody can't find like a job in their field, and they're like, "I'm about to just be a para." They just already know, like, I'm about to slide in this teacher position right here, and this is what I'm gonna
And then
be,
build my way
and I'm a
up.
substitute, and kind of whatever I gotta do in order to build my way up. But they do find themselves in them schools though.
But in majority of the schools, you do need a bachelor's to teach.
Mhm.
You do. So I just think that there could be a better process of hiring teachers. I think the biggest thing about being an educator, yes, you can be a great teacher, but the biggest thing is building relationships. Because if you build a great relationship with your students, they're going to want to come inside your classroom. They're going to want to stay. There are a lot of kids that leave the classroom and you be like, why they keep leaving that classroom? Because 9 out of 10, they don't have a connection or respect that teacher. So when you respect and have a relationship with someone, you're not going to just walk out their classroom. It's a level of respect there to be like, that's a great teacher. I don't understand the content right now, but I'm not going to just keep leaving her classroom because that's disrespectful.
You said, is the path to becoming a teacher rigorous enough?
Mhm.
I will argue that in some cases, it's either too rigorous or rigorous in the wrong ways. So I'll give you personal examples, right? So I graduated from Rutgers in 2018 with a 2.7. In Jersey, you need a 3.0 to be a teacher.
Mm.
So you got to pass the praxis in order to get your teaching license. I failed the praxis 5 times. 5 times. I think the system is too rigorous in the wrong ways. Can't no tests teach you or evaluate your ability to effectively build relationships or what have you. And so my first 2 years teaching, bro, I was using my substitute license but doing full-time responsibilities.
Got you.
I made about $425 a week my first 2 years. I wasn't even on salary. And so because this system is so rigorous but in the wrong ways, I missed out on obviously being financially compensated the right kind of ways, although I was doing the work. And so a GPA, granted, it just, I don't know what the hell it kind of, measures, but I don't think a GPA can evaluate your effectiveness to be a teacher. I don't think a test score can evaluate your effectiveness to be a teacher. So to your question, I think that in some cases for a person like me, it could be too rigorous. But if you ask all of the kids I taught, they'll tell you I'm probably their first or second favorite teacher. So I think that in many cases it's just rigorous, but in the wrong ways.
I would agree. I think one of the things that fall into the American education system that's an issue is testing. Everything's about testing. We center our kids on testing. We try and prove who kids are by testing. But the measure of understanding a concept isn't memorization, right? Memorizing a formula doesn't teach you to or get you to understand why that is the formula.
Right.
So kids are just constant. And that's why when you talk to a 3rd grader and then ask him that same 3rd grader in 5th grade, what was the 3rd grade content? He don't remember because he just had to remember it to pass it. You know what I mean? And that, I think that's one of the biggest issues versus in other countries, they get to the core of understanding the content and then I can build that content on.
Right.
So let's say you're a D student in American terms, but you understand the content.
Right.
That's when you get to 2nd grade and we give you new information, now you can process that content versus you're so worried about the grade.
Right.
And that's all it depends on. So I think that's the issue is like how we measure our kids is a huge problem, and our teachers, because our teachers are evaluated on what our kids' grades are, but not understanding that they don't even take into account where those kids were when they walked into the classroom from day one. So let's say you got real F kids,
Yeah.
that were real Fs, but you got them to a D understanding of content,
Mhm.
that's a whole grade level higher, but to the school, that's failing. So I think that's a major issue because you don't even, you didn't measure the growth of the student.
Certainly.
You just measured, did they make A's and B's?
Yeah. So you're saying that just the way students are evaluated is flawed in itself.
And teachers as well.
Mhm.
Without a doubt. I can give you sort of two examples. To your point. So Bloom's taxonomy is like the teaching like Bible in a sense. It kind of states like the lowest level of learning towards the highest level of learning. And so the lowest level of learning is strictly remembering. I teach you what 2 + 2 is, you teach it back. That's just that. Above that, you have like analyzing, evaluate, so on and so forth. But the highest level of learning is to create. And so these standardized tests doesn't allow our students to create things. So every project or as many projects as I can, intentionally, I guess, implement, I ask students to create something. And if you can teach somebody something, that means you fully mastered it. And so I would argue that the whole purpose of education is to maintain the status quo. It's to create workers. Keep the working class, expand the middle class, and the elite hoard all of the information to themselves. And so by giving us these archaic tests and archaic measure of evaluating students, we want to keep the working class to working classes. And just remember, keep the middle class to middle class, college take tests, and the wealthy folks sort of hoard information to themselves. So, I mean, I agree 1,000%, but I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is.
So with that being said, because that's very interesting, like if y'all had to give me like a percentage of, I guess, K through college, how much information, A, that you retain and that you actually use the day to day, what would be the percentage? I'll go first. Like 10%. 10% from kindergarten all the way up to my master's. It ain't much I'm using out here.
What'd you get your master's in?
Public administration.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then I'm currently getting another degree in BCBA.
Oh, wow.
So like
where?
behavior certified records.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my homie doing that at
Yeah.
Oregon. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he about to get some money then.
yeah,
Okay, so,
So-
he knows something.
yeah. So 10%.
10%.
Jiggy, what about you?
I learned a lot in my master's program that I currently use right now. Kindergarten, we learn a lot, K to 12. I'm saying 75%.
Sheesh.
That's a
God
good.
bless
Right
you.
now,
He went to a good school.
like
The
you
school
should-
system worked for you.
75, yeah, that's
Facts.
heat.
Yeah.
So Brooklyn Street, you good.
Oh, the educational system in Brooklyn, I wish we had the same educational system in Philadelphia. Is we learned how to write in cursive. Everything is just different on those, like in Brooklyn versus the New York school system is different from the Philadelphia school district. I was just like, certain stuff like the curriculum, certain stuff that they are learning in the New York City, they're not learning here. Like it was when we went to the classroom, we had to write a heading, like our name, the date, the school we're in, the subject. When you go inside these classrooms right now, you don't see any of those things.
Well, in all fairness, if I have AI, do I really have to learn it?
But these are things you're learning in K to 6. Like this is like a kid that's not on the computer all the time. I know they're taking, little assessments every day, ANET, ABCYA, those things that they're doing on the computer. But this is just like if you're doing reading with your teacher, ELA, that was a norm. That was an expectation that you learned cursive, you write a heading, you make sure you write different paragraphs. Like it was just different. Now I don't see that. I don't see that here.
What percent you got, Hart?
Percent, bro, I say probably like 15 or 20. Even in my master's program, I feel like a lot of the stuff I learned. I got my master's in social studies education.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff I learned in my master's program was irrelevant. Undergrad, a lot of it was irrelevant. Y = mx plus b. When the hell am I ever gonna use
Never
that?
in life.
Yeah,
I don't know what's why.
A = pi r squared. When the hell am I gonna use that?
Yeah.
And so, like, again, this goes back to my original point. I think that the purpose of education is to maintain the status quo. By show of hands, who learned about credit in school?
Nah.
Real estate,
Nah.
budgeting,
Nope.
paying bills,
Nope.
buying a house,
Nope.
buying a car.
Nah.
And so, like, the things that really matter as adults, they don't teach that stuff in schools
Yeah.
because they
Yeah,
want
they
to keep you uninformed.
Yeah.
So I'll say about 15 to 20%. I mean, I'm a nerd, so like I love school stuff,
But you learn outside of the actual classroom.
yeah,
The
for sure.
average person don't learn
Yeah, I
outside
was
the
gonna
actual
say,
classroom.
people don't know, once you do your education on it too, the two biggest industries that are tied together are the industrial prison system and the school system. They are tied. They are best friends. They're in bed together every night talking, and people don't understand that they have tests that run from third grade that tell you from a third grade angle what that kid's going to be, and they produce out the numbers of how many kids are going to be in the pipeline system from third grade to enter into prison. They know that math. So from going off what you said, it is strategically planned out for these kids to be how they are. Like the information as human beings, it doesn't even make sense why you would go into or make an institution that doesn't teach about life.
So
When you have, sorry, let me
Go
just,
ahead.
when you have, it doesn't teach about life when you're effectively the parent of the kid, right? Because for most of your day, you are with school. So to say that we're going to have you for most of the day and then give you back to a parent, and the parent is supposed to teach you these things when the parent thinks it's synonymous. Like we think the school is teaching you that. That's why we're not going over with it. It's like, oh, you leave out at 18 years old from high school and you're like, well, they're like, here's life. The first thing you get is credit cards. You got to go handle a car. You got to go handle where you're going to live. And then depending on, and then I'll let you go. Depending on what type of household you come from, if you black, most of my friends, their family was like, yeah, you 18, figure it out. Go get, like, you know what I mean? So it even depends on from your economic and family background where you're going to be at or how you're going to figure out life. Yeah. So that in itself is just a crazy system.
Jiggy.
Growing up in the NYC, public schools, I had in the 11th and 12th grade, I had an internship where they sent me to work at City Hall. They taught me how to budget money. They taught me how to, get ready for a job interview, write a resume. Like these schools didn't teach you. You guys know?
We didn't have
We got
nothing.
nothing. It even carried over. Like when I graduated 12th grade, I still had that job until I got
I'm
into
gonna tell
college.
you how bad my school was. My last day of school, my 12th grade year, they brought the seniors. Well, they brought the seniors who they thought were going to be something, and they dragged us into the library. We had 15 minutes. I swear to God, we had 15 minutes left before the day was out. Right? They said this is what MLA format looks like in APA. For those that are going to college, they sit at the computer and they read off from a book, and it was like, this is APA and MLA format, and it was like, good luck.
Wow.
That was my school. We didn't get no teachings on nothing.
What school did you go to?
I went to Lakewood. Lakewood is in Jersey Shore area.
All right.
Yeah. So, and what's crazy about my school, I was telling Ant, is that my experience is crazy because the surrounding, your education is built off taxes, right? So around Lakewood is some of the richest places you will ever, like Freehold, Brick, Toms River.
Yeah.
Like Toms River got like 4 high schools, right? So they got money. But inside of that, so I'm surrounded. So we're even just playing the sports team, right? You look at our jerseys, you look at our buses compared to them. They're like the privileges their freshman team got was something that our varsity teams weren't getting. Like their buses were crazy. You look at our bus, it looked like ran down. You know what I'm saying? So we had, like, I would say there were definitely some good teachers in our school, but everything that they had to fight to get through, and then you're talking about behaviors. Dealing in Lakewood was more behaviors than it was actually teaching.
Yeah.
Right. So by the time I've invested and got you to think about, life, you're a senior.
I think so for me, right? I can't help but think about it in a mental health standpoint because, again, my master's is the right policies, mental health policies. So I would work alongside schools, the right policies for kids that was bad, right? That y'all were having like the detention, or kids that maybe had autism or some type of mental diagnosis when it comes to it. And then with the BCBA, that's coming alongside being like,
oh, wow, I see what's going on.
You see what's happening?
Yeah.
We're not going to put the plan out there, but you here.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff in the works with that. But so from this standpoint, from a mental health standpoint, from a teacher standpoint, what's a bad kid? Like, what does that mean? Like when teachers be like, yo, I got I got the bad kids. Like what is that? What does that mean?
You want?
I'm thinking about what I want to say before I say it.
Oh, all right. So I guess I'll go a little bit. I think in many cases. So when I immediately hear bad, I mean, I think of, are you cussing people out? Are you fighting? Like in Camden, bro, it was a lot. We had some rough ones.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think more so like there's no such as a bad kid, but like more so bad behaviors in a sense. Behaviors that don't comply with the way schools are governed in a sense. So again, I think the whole idea of school is to train minds. Walk in a straight line, check in, check out, clock in, clock out, submit this on time, go home, whatever. Many behaviors that don't coincide with like that form of thinking, you're considered a bad kid. A kid that I read Eric Thomas's book, the motivational speaker,
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking about how he had gifts. Like he was very he was a people person. So he'd, create conversations in class, he'd get in trouble. Steve Harvey would tell jokes in class, he'd get in trouble.
Yes.
You have really gifted and talented kids. Oftentimes, students that are recommended to be behavioral disordered, I think there's a close correlation between academically gifted and ADHD.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think educators have a hard time distinguishing between gifted, ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
and the behaviors are the same. I think that bad, quote unquote, the definition of it is seen through the lens of a middle-aged white woman. 70-something% of the teachers are middle-aged white women. So any behavior or thought or whatever that doesn't coincide with their beliefs or whatever the case may be is deemed bad. So I guess that's my answer to that question.
Good answer.
Me personally, I don't think there's anything like the phrase bad kid or bad student. I think they have behavioral, they're displaying behavioral issues in the classroom that's not in the norms and expectations of how you're supposed to act, like he said, in the classroom or in the school. And I feel like a lot of teachers, they don't have classroom management. So immediately when they don't know how to respond to a behavior that is happening inside the classroom, that's the bad kid. So because these are the same behaviors that this one kid is displaying every day, now they're bad. No, they're probably not being challenged. They need something. They might need better content. They're not being creatively challenged to even say, hey, why is this child acting like this? I personally don't think there's a bad kid.
No, Pete. Now that's like the politically correct answer I give you, which is like definitely truthful. But some of these kids, it be shit wrong. Bro. I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Like
some of these kids bad as hell.
Bro, like, so all right. I went to school with a kid, bro. He was like the most roughneck kid I ever met, bro. Like, he would literally fight people just for competition. I'm the best fighter in the school. What's up? Like, bro, some of these kids bring home school, and it definitely, shows its.
I was gonna say I don't believe in a bad kid. I believe in bad teachers and bad administration
and bad parents as well, bro. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. But I would say I think if you go into when we have our conversation with teachers as well, we have this conversation from the lens of if you're going into school with the metric of like I'm going to teach these kids something, you already failed. Because that's not that as you said, great teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going in with they're gonna get this lesson, they're gonna get this curriculum. That's not what it is. You got to meet them where they're at first, right? So they could be coming in, they could be looking at you as a father or mother figure, and the only thing you're hitting them with is we gonna learn today. But they just want your approval so bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they may be acting out. There's a bunch of things why a child may be acting out. But you have to go on with a teacher is probably the hardest job. When I heard that, I was like, nah. But a teacher is probably the hardest job because they have every hat you can think of. They're a coach, they're a life coach, they're a teacher, they're a nurse, they're a therapist, they're an after school activity curriculum. You know what I mean? There's so many hats you can give to a teacher.
Yeah.
So that's what you're taking on by being a teacher. when you build that frame, that's when you can easily teach the curriculum.
Yeah.
That's when you can get the lesson done because they you poured in and got that investment out of them.
Yeah.
But when you're coming in and my job is to teach, you gonna learn real
Yeah.
quick that you gonna burn out
Yeah.
because that's not what you're there for.
I think my biggest issue when it comes to most teachers is that you have this lesson plan that's generalized and generic,
Mm-hmm.
but teaching is case by case. So if you're staring at 32 students, you got to figure out what's their learning style, what's their best way. Some kids learn better one-on-one.
Yep.
Some kids learn better in a classroom where it's intimate. Other kids may, flourish in like a 50-plus classroom, 50-plus people classroom. And I think like as teachers, majority of the time, I think teachers could get confused as to who the audience is. Like, if I'm speaking to a classroom full of teachers and I got these two kids off to the side that's bad, and because they bad consecutively throughout the weeks and months or whatever, now I'm about to go have a conversation with special ed because I think they're a little off. But as a teacher, if I'm not well versed in mental health diagnoses, but I'm already diagnosing them enough to have that conversation, knowing that special ed is the one who bringing the most money to the actual school. At some point, they're gonna get caught up in that system. They're gonna receive an IEP. The average parent don't know what an IEP is, right? And now here we are. That's how majority of the time I see it happening, which is why we'll go into schools and change the mental health policies of how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? If y'all like with this conversation that we've been having, the Inner Circle, man, first of all, if you want to be a guest, feel free to hit us up, man. We're going to look into your credentials, see who you are. If you fit the criteria, then feel free to sit down on this couch right here, the hot seat. And another thing, like, subscribe, and lock in with us on all social media platforms, Our Friendly Advice. And to visit our website, it's ourfriendlyadvice.net. You can book us there. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.